What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 70. My name is Zach Graham, your host here on the North End Podcast, joined, as always, by my good buddy. His name is Ian Michaud. We call him E, a.k.a. Lee James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew, E.C., a.k.a. Easterdamus, a.k.a. Pap E, O'Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili, Willie, a.k.a. Joe E, Chestnut, the champ again, a.k.a. E. Dolfo, a.k.a. Eon, Stonkel, E. Midweek here in Austin, Texas. We're coming off the somewhat frustrating draw against Miami, but got a point on the road. We got Minnesota coming up this weekend. We got some Austin FC 2 talk to get into, of course, last business day. We got some bets. And then following all of that, the best ball summer transfer window draft, that audio going to be tacked on to the end of this one. If you're listening in podcast form, if you're listening or watching, I should say, on the YouTube channel, you can go check that stream out. It's going to be its own standalone stream on the YouTube channel. But after all that, we're ready for a good episode here. But how are you feeling, my friend?
I'm good. I saw the Columbus draw in Miami, and that made me feel much better about our draw. Doesn't help us,
right?
The table, of course, but it does help.
Your emotions.
It does help me sleep a little better at night. So we'll take those small victories whenever they may come. Excited for this opportunity here to go into Minnesota and play a hot team and get a result, and I think we can do that. Obviously, some things we have to clean up from this last match, but things that we can definitely tend to and go in there and beat or get a result from a very solid team. So I'm looking forward to it. It's an exciting week to be an Austin FC fan. Transfer market is open. We pulled in, obviously, a guy today, which I think we'll talk a little bit about. Rodolfo is here. He's in full capacity. So I'm excited, man. It's a good time to be an Austin FC fan.
I agree. Was it Rodolfo not in the States yet, but very much doing the job? I know that's what you meant, E. Dolfo. So let's go ahead and jump right into a little preview of this Saturday's match against Minnesota because, of course, we've already seen them this season and the history between the two teams. Each side with 3 wins apiece, no draws so far in the 6 historical matchups between Minnesota United and Austin FC. Austin 2-1 this season at home at the end of May. That was Driussi's winner in the 82nd down there in the South End. I believe that was his, if I'm not mistaken, that was his return from the groin injury, scoring the winner there. So I know we got a good Uncle Dave video from the North End out of that one. But this team is way different from when we saw them at the end of May, just over a month ago. First of all, Emmanuel Reynoso is back. And not just back, E, this man is cooking.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Reynoso, let me go ahead and pull up what he's done so far in his return to this team. It has been notable. He is already, and again, has been playing for less than a month this season with Minnesota United, already their second leading goal scorer. He's got 3 goals so far on the season, made his debut back on June 3rd, played 25 minutes against Toronto, then played a half against Montreal a week later. Then we had the international break, so June 24th, played 89 minutes in a 2-2 draw against RSL, and then 90 minutes and a brace in the 4-1 drubbing of the Portland Timbers this past week. We know that this guy is, he's the engine of this team when he's out there for them. He makes everything go. And so not only is he going to make guys like Mender Garcia and Bongi more potent offensive threats, which is not a good sign for Austin's back line right now, but he may have a new teammate alongside him this Saturday. He's already a member of the team and in Minnesota, questionable to make an appearance on Saturday, but Teemu Pukki is in Minnesota now. And I don't know about you, E, but just the thought of that guy coming in and being able to prey on this Austin back line right now is giving me nightmares. Anything you want to add on those two guys, just making this team a lot more dangerous?
Reynoso was the guy that I saw the first time I watched him play. I really walked away from it and was like, wow, he's special. Same kind of, feeling I get when I get to watch Seba play or Danny or one of these guys, who's just really great soccer player. And Reynoso just adds a component and an element to that squad that they've been lacking all year. And when you add in Timu now, it just starts to get a little scary. And obviously we know that we got the result against them at Q2, but I'm pretty sure that's the game where their XG was like over 3 or very, at least over 2. And we were under 1 and we still walked away with a fortunate win. Yeah. And the thing that was most telling about that game, as Mucci makes his bed as loud as possible, is that their athleticism was really on display and their ability to hit us on the counter with speed and with, tactical kind of precision. So now you add these two players into that mix, and it's definitely a daunting task to have to go in there and get a victory. But, they're a beatable team. They got the 4-1 result versus Portland. But, I've gotten to the point with this Portland squad where I'm just done giving them credit for who they are and what they've done in the past as an organization, because they have not looked good. They've been up and down all season. So while they still have those guys, Reynoso coming back and Timu coming in, they're still a very beatable team and a job that's going to be a tall task for us, but we can do it.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. And I guess the thing about Pookie, right? We're not going to see him start here. Like, I think that would be a shocker. That may be already confirmed that he would only be available in a bench role here on Saturday. But again, I don't think he's going to need a lot of time to take advantage of some of these MLS defenses. I mean, coming from the championship with Norwich, and again, Norwich has been up and down over there in England. So Premier League, championship, regardless, this guy, 38 goal contributions in the championship in 2019, then 14 in the Premier League, then 30 the next season down in the championship, 14 in the Premier League in 2022, then this past season in the championship, 17 goal contributions. So Timu Pukki, 33 now, he's getting up there. But I don't think he's over the hill enough to not come in and make a big impact. And, I know you and I certainly hoping that with how the transfer window draft went. But look, it's not all sunshines and rainbows for Minnesota here. And this is one thing we really like to see. Michael Boxall suspended for card accumulation. I mean, nobody shocked by that. One of the dirtiest players in the league, if he says so himself. They're also expected to be without Franco Fragapane, who I believe was playing that Reynoso role, playing the 10 for them until he came back mid-season. Robin Lod is out. And then Kamar Lawrence, who I think has been out since he got injured against Austin at Q2 on May 31st. So all three of those guys starting caliber players for this team. And, of course, Boxall out as well. So Minnesota's not going to be full strength. And like you said, I think and even maybe not a very winnable match, but I think you can go and get a result. And, if you're able to pull off a point here, and then if I can get ahead of ourselves a little bit, a point midweek at Vancouver, getting 3 from these 3 road matches is perfectly acceptable to me. We wanted 4. I know that was the benchmark, but if you can get a result here on the road, a point or hopefully 3, I'm going to be, I think it's kind of similar to how we were after Inter Miami, where it was like, okay, not the best, but we got something out of this road trip. So let's talk about us. Obviously, still no Leo and no ring update yet. Most people, I think, will be listening to this on Thursday or beyond. I imagine that press availability will be Thursday morning after training. So by the time you may be listening to this, we might have an Alex Ring update. But the last we saw of him, obviously, down on the pitch, walking off under his own power after the Nick Lima goal last Saturday. Any thoughts on Ring? Anything you think I missed in terms of our personnel? And then let's talk, lineup desires, lineup predictions.
I I think Ring is going to be ready to go. I think he gets the start. I just think that's what we have to do. I don't know what they're doing with him in treatment and rehab to get him ready to go, but he's got to be an Iron Man for us. He has been, and I foresee him getting the start here. And we're going to need it. We're definitely going to need the help there. But other than that, I think you touched on everything. I definitely was going to talk some shit about Boxel. I think it's great that he can't play when I'm not available to scream at him. Out of the situation. And also they have a coach, right? A coach with a
Yeah, so I think Adrian Heath, who former Austin Aztecs head coach, I believe he is also suspended for bench card accumulation, which I think Josh caught one of those suspensions in the past, if I recall correctly.
Really?
I think he had one. I don't remember if it was 21 or 22, but I think that because I think it's a bench accumulation. Like if the bench, it could be an assistant, it could be a trainer, it could be probably not a player actually, but anybody on the technical staff. I think that counts towards. And I don't think the number is 5 either. I think it's probably 2 or 3.
Yeah,
and then the coach has to take a seat. I guess so lineup wise here, a couple discussion points. Let's start with the right wing.
I don't think it's a discussion.
Okay, you think it's Finley no matter what?
I think if the roles were reversed and Rigoni had given us the production that Finley has given us over the past few games, despite the lackluster performance in Miami, we would be up in arms if Finley got the start. Rigoni did not – it wasn't like in that Inter-Miami game Rigoni did anything to take the job back. And I wanted to see him do that. I want to see him string together 2 games where it's like, I am absolutely the better player of these 2 guys, and I deserve to start. And just because Finley had a poor game, I don't think that just gives Rigoni the ability to slot back in there, despite the fact that Finley didn't perform. Because, again, if it was reverse and Rigoni had done this and they were talking about potentially starting Finley after one poor game, I'd be pissed. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with Finley. I still think that provides us with the best 11 right now. I've talked about in the past that I really appreciate his straightforward running, his straight line running, his aggression towards the goal. And he has, despite the fact that Rigoni is more talented, Finley, you can feel like wants to score and he wants to get on the score sheet. And we have seen time and time again with Rigoni where he's either been in one-on-one situations or with a clear time, like he's got a shot, it's on his foot, he's ready to rip it, and he hesitates. And the margin of victory is too thin for those hesitation moments. And it's Finley for me. It has to be.
Yeah, that's totally fair. And I think the only way, right, that you're going to get a Rigoni start is that he is absolutely winning those battles, those matchups, any drills that they're doing in practice. And there's probably not a ton of practice going on at this point of the season.
But he should be. We need to see it on the field. We've asked for it to translate.
Right.
So many times.
But he doesn't get that. He doesn't get the chance on the field in the real game until he does it in practice. And I think that he's probably not doing it in practice consistently if we made this switch a couple games ago.
That's even more concerning to me. And I feel like it's probably reverse. I feel like he probably performs really well in practice. And that's why he keeps getting these chances. Because we know he's good. We know he has talent. Something is not translating to when the lights come on. Yeah. And that's a real thing for athletes.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's Finley for me. And Rigoni, like I said, he's got to win the job back. You got to go take it. If you really want to start, you can't just be Seba's friend. If you really want to help us win, go do it, man. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with that one. I don't know what other areas you're looking at. Kippy, maybe Ring.
Yeah, I mean it's Ring if he's ready to go, right? Yeah. And it may be 45 minutes, 60 minutes, see how he feels as they kind of approach the last match.
Yep.
But this is really the biggest piece of news, and we'll push any other news that maybe I missed or that's going to happen. We'll push it to Sunday. This morning, out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
The club drops a tweet just, "Welcome to Austin, Brendan." Who?
Yeah.
all of a sudden, Austin FC making some intra-league business. One of those plates that was spinning, I guess turned up with a loan player for us. Austin made an intra-league loan with the Philadelphia Union, acquiring their defender, Brandan Craig, 19-year-old, who actually was Owen Wolf's teammate at the U20 World Cup back in May. And Craig actually played every single minute of the 5 U.S. U20 matches in that tournament. So clearly a young, promising player. And Philly knows that. So there is no option to buy in this loan. And Philly is getting obviously some compensation back from Austin FC for this 6-month loan. Philly will receive Austin's 3rd round pick in the upcoming draft. So, and I guess I'll just add this on too. They may receive up to $125,000 in 2024 GAM, depending on performance-based incentives. So, like Landon mentions in the draft when we were talking about Craig, those performance incentives are probably minutes-based or appearance-based. I think he was right on the money with that. But no GAM sent yet from Austin to Philly. And as many people correctly noted, most of the time, your 3rd-round super draft pick is going to be worthless. It's at best, you're probably getting a next pro type of guy. Like, again, I think our 3rd-round pick last year with Sal Mazzaferro has played out about as good as you can hope for a guy that late in the MLS Super Draft. So, again, not worthless, but like a very cheap price to get a kid in here to try to help us get some more wins, get some more results down the second half, or really we're past the second half, just the stretch run of the season here. And probably going to be in there competing with Kip. The club did put out an Instagram story today. Brandan Craig was in training this morning with Austin, and they did delete that E. So I don't know if maybe like he wasn't supposed to be there yet, or like they just, I don't know what was going on there, but he's with the team. So here's my question. It's not just Alex and Kip. Is Brandan Craig going to be on the bench on Saturday?
No.
Okay.
No. I've been trying to wrap my head around what this could mean, like what this loan means. And I think it probably just it's probably a move you make before a move.
Okay.
Is my best guess, right? I don't understand all of the roster implications right now, but I think on the surface level, this is more than just trying to get somebody to come in and back up Kip, right? Like, and I don't necessarily know what that move might be. If it's some sort of trade, if you're moving on or like upgrading from Alex and you want to maintain some depth behind that center back position, and it's Kip and now Brandan, I'm not sure. I don't know how he fits into our short-term need for a center back who can come in and give us minutes when we got Alex Ring, who's playing out of position, also dinged up, and a complete polar opposite of a young guy behind him and Kippy, who is just struggling with some confidence issues. So it's interesting. My best guess is that it's that. I don't really have anything to base that off of other than understanding moves in sports. Sure. Because at the surface level, it's just like, okay, well, what type of, what benefit is this providing us right away? So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. And if that's not the case and he's in a situation where he's going to compete with Kippy for minutes, I'm fine with that. And I think that would be a nice little push for Kip as well, because, at the end of the day, we're not going to play Amro Tarek. So it's like it's Kip or it's nobody. So a little competition there, I think, is good. Obviously, he's coming from a very good team that has a plethora of defensive players who are top tier kind of guys. You talk about Glesnish. So it's interesting. I'm interested to see where it goes. Obviously, we said it came out of nowhere, but I think that's how that's going to be standard operating procedure for this club going forward. Shit's not coming out, and we're going to have to wait on it and see. And, again, I don't know if this is a Rodolfo move, but let's let it play out.
Yeah. I would bet it's like, to me, this sounds like one of those plates spinning in the league that Josh kept referencing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if Craig was already here. That move, when he was making those plate comments, that move was probably very close to the finish line at
Fair.
that point.
Fair.
And I agree with you. Like, I think nothing but good has come out of this club playing things close to the chest and leaks not coming out. But with Craig, like, he has, I think, 4 total minutes in MLS. And I think the biggest reason for that is because, like you mentioned, Philly is one of the model franchises right now, like from top to bottom in their club, and they just don't have enough. Like, they don't need to rotate as, like, to get Craig in there. They're not like Austin FC, where, like, if you need to rotate some center backs, he gets in there. They have enough options. And so, man, again, like, they're kind of they're a model club. Like, if we get to that Philadelphia Union level sooner rather than later, we're going to be in a great spot. I think it's just battling Kip for minutes, and hopefully he helps Kip improve. At the end of the day, like, my thoughts on that are, like, I hope Kip gets every opportunity with Craig coming in to continue to be ahead of him on the depth chart, because Craig will be gone in the winter. Kip Keller will still be here. Obviously, we've invested a lot in him already, and we will continue to. But I also thought this is interesting. And again, if we can just irresponsibly speculate, as I like to do, Brandan Craig signed in 2021, before the 2021 season. So unless Philly gave him a 4-year deal, or they have some options coming up, which they very well could, especially with a young guy like that, they're potentially, and I couldn't find any confirmation of his contract length, but there's no purchase clause here, but potentially he's a free agent after this season. So maybe there is a potential future if he comes here, makes a big impact, and is a free agent and sees a clearer path to playing time with Austin instead of Philly in the future. Again, wild speculation. Don't aggregate that anywhere. It's, just trying to see the best potential possibilities out of this move, because it is still, even in year 3, it is still such a foreign concept to me. The concept of a loan for 6 months to a team in the league, and then you go back to your team. You're not allowed to do that in the NBA.
No, it's quite strange.
So I think that is my biggest question for the lineup, is kind of with the bench. Does Craig, who is already here with the squad, does he actually make that bench as an emergency center back option this weekend? I lean no, but, trying to have some fun. Maybe. There's non-zero chance.
What if Alex can't go?
Yeah, then I think that is a much better chance, a much higher
Would
chance.
you rather see this dude or Tarek? If Alex,
Craig, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, I could care less if we see Tarek again. The next time I want to see Emre Tarek's name is Austin FC use the contract buyout.
I mean, I could care more, because I care about him getting out.
Yeah. I mean, if we're not going to use the contract buyout on somebody else to make a bigger move, then I don't know why we would keep him around as a practice cone here.
Yeah.
And then I guess the only other part, do we see Sophie Jeffel back in the team, or does Rodney Redis get another appearance on the bench? I don't care much, because, like, I think Johan is going to be the first sub in the defensive midfield, regardless of game script, I feel like. And Rodney, I think, is back to just, in case of emergency, break glass for Lord Rodney.
Well, there is an emergency, and the emergency is that we could be playing Lundqvist and pushing Johnny back to the right wing. So honestly, if I'm going to be quite honest opinion,
do it. Be honest.
I'll give me Lord Redis over Adam, because that was the hardest he ran that entire Miami game, was to go give his dude a high five.
All right, so I think we pretty much line up there on the lineup. We're probably not going to see many changes at the end of the day, as much as we just go back and forth talking nonsense here. One thing left to do. Let's make our score predictions. I know you're not predicting an Austin FC draw or a loss. today. So how much is Austin FC winning by on Saturday?
This is a tough one. Good club, talented players. Obviously, I was there for the game where they came in and they really just gave us hell over the top. I'm going to say that the coaching staff adjusts to that and has a game plan in place ready to combat their style. And I'm going to say that Seba outplays Reynoso in the middle, and that Stuver has a very good game, and we get a 1-0 win, and we walk out of there heads held high, a good victory.
Nice. So maybe Austin kind of just mucking it up a little bit, slowing the pace down, playing that possession game. We'd certainly take that. Don't care how we get the 3 points. Let's just pick them up. Little bit less rosy outlook for me here. I was teetering on the edge of predicting a loss here, but they are missing some key players as well. So I'm going to go. I think this one gets actually maybe a little bit the opposite in terms of game script here. I think maybe it opens up a little bit. I'm going to go 2-2 draw. But I do think I'm with you on Seba here. I think having kind of a classic MVP caliber type of game here on the road and Minnesota. So that's 7:30 p.m. Central, Austin FC taking on Minnesota United on the road. Now let's talk about the game that is in town here, get into last business day before we talk betting picks. Dynamo Dos, this is the final game of the season series. 3 meetings between these two. Split the first 2 games. Both of the home teams won their respective matches, and now coming to the pitch here on Friday night, 8 p.m. Central, Dynamo Dos taking on Austin FC 2. This game got really chippy when it was out in Houston. Multiple yellow cards, hard fouls. Valentin Noel went out with a knock there. Of course, able to come back, I think, the next game off the bench. But even cards given out after the final whistle. And look, man, we watched it. That was probably the first game of this season where Austin FC 2 was thoroughly outplayed. And so I think both of these teams feeling the heat from this rivalry and going to come in. And I think it's going to be chippy again right from the rip. We have no information, no update on David Rodriguez and what is going on there. And, man, I know the guys have kept the form, especially on the defensive side, with some of the absences that FC2 has been dealing with. But, man, would it be nice to see David's name pop up on the team sheet on Friday night.
It would be lovely. And, I know we were going to get into the lineup predictions, and I was just thinking in my head, I was like, I can't reasonably say that he's going to play. I don't know when we're going to see him back. I hope it's sooner rather than later. But this is a Dynamo team that has kind of fallen off from when the second time we saw them, particularly the first time. 3 consecutive losses here, walking into the pitch. It's going to be, I anticipate a chippy game. I anticipate a highly contested game, but we're built for that. This club is built for that. We got the guys to go out there and get the job done, regardless of if David suits up or not. We have one of the guys who's going to be the best players on the pitch, no matter who we play, in CJ Faudre. So I'm confident in this club. Sal is proven himself over and over again. Damian, obviously, the premier keeper in this league. He's hot right now. 0 goals versus the Monarchs there, right?
Yeah, Real Monarchs, yeah.
Such a stupid name. Their name's the Real Butterflies. So Damian's hot. Again, love this club. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun match. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. And good point by you bringing up the recent form here for Dynamo Dos. Slipped up a couple times. I mean, losing to Tacoma, no shame in that.
Nope.
And Quakes too, middle of the table team. We know they have some very highly rated prospects on that roster as well, but losing to Timbers too, that's a bad loss. So 3 straight L's for Dynamo. You look, they're in the bottom half of the West now, but a couple games in hand on some of the top teams. And if you look at the goal differential between them and the other teams occupying that bottom half of the conference, you can tell that Dynamo Dos does not belong amongst that group of teams. So I think they will be in the top half of the standings, I think, come season's end, but not come the end of Friday night's match, because I do think Austin FC2 going to take care of business. One of the best home teams in Next Pro. Czech Toure, we talked about on Sunday that we had heard not a season-ending injury for him, which is fantastic news, and that he would be, it's very ambiguous here, but soon is when he's expected to return. FC2 put out, kind of the midweek hype video today. He was seen in practice doing drills, no brace, no wrap on that knee, but no video evidence of him participating in full contact yet. So we'll see. I think maybe still a game away for Czech to make his return here. But in terms of the lineup, like you said, there's question marks abound, but we know that this team is deep, and they have successfully shifted around this back line and adjusted and kept the scoreless streak alive. Of course, gave up one on the penalty at Tacoma, but over 500 minutes now in open play without giving up a goal for Austin FC2. So let's get to our score predictions, I guess.
Yep.
Do you think that streak continues? Is there going to be another shutout here? Because I know you're not predicting a draw or loss.
I think it's 2-0 Austin FC2. We're the better team. We're in better form right now. I know Kippy's not going to be there, but yes, we have found some solutions for his absence here in this back line. Pinkham showed up, played a big game versus Real Monarchs. So totally confident in this club. I think it's going to be 2-0.
I like it. I'm going to go 2-1. There's a lot of firepower in this Dynamo team. Like, they do have some very talented players there. And I'm glad you mentioned Chris Pinkham, because great showing from him on Friday night at RSL. Converted his penalty kick again. Both of us kind of surprised to see him in that group of five. And the fact that if he comes in and does his job at center back, the fact that you can allow Captain Joe to play out on the right in his more natural position, I think just elevates the back line as close as possible to what it has been throughout the season. So I'm glad to see Chris Pinkham coming in and having success early on here, his first couple appearances for the club. I'm going to go 2-1 Austin here. But not surprised if they continue that shutout streak. Rivalry matches always heated. So very excited for this Friday's match, 8 p.m. at the Pitch. Let's talk betting picks here, E, because I'm not sure if this was our best week, but it sure as hell felt like it. Short midweek, there was 5 matches last night, and a couple of our picks actually got, voided for some DNPs here. Shout out to you. You said fade my perfect bet of Dallas picking DC United plus 205. Taxi Funtas, boom. Double whammy for the North End podcast. Best ball scores. DC gets the win in Dallas. So great news for our favorite team. Great news for the betting picks. Plus 205 DC comes through. That Portland, Colorado match ended up abandoned, postponed to a later date. So Portland plus 215. And Evander didn't play anyway. So both of those bets voided. Lorenzo Insigne also did not play for Toronto. So that goal prop was also a DNP. LAFC drops El Trafico at the Rose Bowl. Record crowd there. That was really fucking cool to see.
Yeah.
And what was even cooler to see was LA Galaxy picking up the late winner from Ricky Pooch, who was plus 400. Columbus did not get the win, that Joseph Martinez wonder goal. So Columbus plus 135, Cucho plus 210. He did assist, but did not score. But DC and Ricky, good enough for plus 3.05 units on the week. That gets us back down under that 30 mark, minus 29.94 units on the season. But let's keep it going here, E. Week 24 picks coming in hot and heavy. I'll toss it to you. What's the first pick on your week 24 card?
Everyone knows my first pick here. We're going to the Verde and Black, getting Austin at plus 280, going into Minnesota United. Lock it in.
Lock it in, Austin plus 280. We will take that. I'm going to go back to one of our old reliables, or at least it feels that way. Philadelphia going cross country, so tough travel trip here, but taking on LA Galaxy. And I think maybe a little bit of an emotional hangover here for LA Galaxy as well. Philadelphia is still going to have some of their backups in there. Joe Bendick's going to be in goal for Andre Blake, etc. But I do think Philadelphia here, with as deep as team as they are, sent Brandan Craig, a U.S. youth national team player, to us basically for free. I think they have enough depth here to get this one done. Plus 145 is Philly at LA Galaxy. Lock that in and throw it back to you.
Well, the props are not up yet, but in my preview of the game here, I said that Seba was going to outplay Reynoso, not only because he's better, but also because Reynoso knows that we drafted him and he cannot have a good game this first game versus Austin FC. It would violate the terms of his contract with the North End Podcast Best Ball team. So, Seba on the board, 1-0 for the game winner. Lock it in, whatever we get it at.
I like it. We'll keep our eyes on that board and lock it in with the best possible odds. I'm going to go to another road team here. The Supporter Shield leading FC Cincinnati is on the road taking on Charlotte. And they're plus 205. And look, they are also missing some guys still for Gold Cup action. Brandon Vasquez still out there. Matt Miazga still out there. But this is also a deep team. And Charlotte been struggling. Did pick up a midweek draw tonight at NYCFC. So I think they will take that result. But again, a tired team coming back home, and Cincy coming in still in great form. I'm taking Cincy plus 205 on the road at Charlotte. And I'll toss it to you to make your final pick. Shorter card here this coming Saturday.
Well, I'm going to a matchup between that's a very good team and a very bad team, and that's Nashville traveling to Chicago, getting Nashville at plus 200. Gotta like that. I know that it's been tough with these road dogs all season long, and probably lesson learned going into our next season next year about all these road dogs and how difficult it is to get results on the road. But Nashville, too talented, too many good players. Mukhtar in tremendous form right now, so I'm going to go ahead and lock that in at plus 200.
I like it. And I'll close this out here in the Week 24 betting picks with a perfect bet. We thought about Dallas. Still no Jesus Ferreira, so we're going to stay away from that. But we are going to go to that Orange team, who are back at home, one of the best home teams in MLS so far this season. Sporting Kansas City coming to town. Houston is plus 105 at home against SKC, and I'm not going to shy away from the perfect bet in this circumstance. So Houston plus 105, can lock that in, and those are the Week 24 betting picks. You've got Houston plus 105. Hosting SKC, Philly plus 145 at the Galaxy, and Cincy plus 205 at Charlotte. He's got Austin plus 280 at Minnesota, Driussi to score no matter the odds, and Nashville plus 200 at Chicago Fire. Those are the Week 24 betting picks, and that will do it for episode 70 of the North End Podcast. If you've got 5 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you are watching on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. You can hit that notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, hit that thumbs up button, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords. Wash yourselves clean in ease, White Claw, chug. We will be back on Sunday, recapping Austin FC's match against Minnesota United, recapping Austin FC 2's matchup against Dynamo Dos, and talking all other Austin FC news and rumors that come to the surface between now and then. Again, if you're watching this on the YouTube, you can go check out our summer transfer window best ball live stream. We did that earlier tonight. It was a blast. So if you enjoy North End Podcast, if you enjoy Moon Tower, We Are Austin TV, Top Flight, Texas Ring of Fire, all those guys in the house, it was a blast. So definitely go check that out once you're done with this episode. And enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Enjoy the matches on Friday and Saturday, and we'll see you back here on Sunday recapping it all. Until then, he's E. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.